Hello, my name is Jennifer Reynolds. I am the president of Audit Ready Inc. Audit Ready Inc. is a bookkeeping, tax preparation, and IRS representation firm. And I'm also a member of BNI. BNI is Business Networking International. And if you don't know what that is, you should Google it. It will completely change your business and possibly change your whole life. Recently, I watched a podcast put on by Tim Roberts, who is our BNI's regional director. And in that podcast, he said that we should start with our why. Why are we here networking for this business? What's our why? What drives us? So this question has kind of plagued me for the past few days, and I thought long and hard about it. Maybe couldn't sleep for a night thinking about it. And I know what my why is. And I've been reluctant to share it because it's kind of embarrassing, sad. But I decided to take that leap and share it. So my why starts when I was a child. I was born the youngest of 5 siblings. So I was the baby of 5. And my parents were divorced before I was in kindergarten. My mom was a severe epileptic, so she had grandma seizures that would put her in the hospital for days at a time. We weren't sure if our mom was going to make it through our childhood. We weren't sure if we were going to make it through our childhood. And to say that it was a struggle was an understatement. Most times we didn't have basic needs: electric, food, water, a home. I actually can't even recall the number of times that we have been evicted because my mom wasn't very good with money. She didn't have those skills. And one year for Christmas, my mom had actually told us all that we had moved so much that Santa didn't know where we lived, and that's why we weren't going to have a Christmas that year. One year we got IOUs in our Easter egg. I'm pretty sure my mom still owes me for those. When I was in 3rd grade, my mom, she was supposed to pick me up from school, and she would have me walk to where the crossing guard was. That was her version of supervision, and wait there for her. Sometimes she didn't show up. This was before cell phones were a thing, so it wasn't like she could call me and say, hey, I got offered to work a double and I can't turn it down because we need the money. So on those times when she didn't show up, I just have to walk to the hotel that we were staying at the time. We lived with friends, with family. We lived in the back of a closed restaurant once. At one point, we lived in an efficiency. So there were 6 people in one room. There was enough space for 2 bunk beds and a TV. And at one point, when I was 11, oh my gosh, I thought that we were doing fantastic. We actually lived in the same home for over a year, and that was like a huge accomplishment. And we even kept electric while we were there. And shortly after that year, the home was condemned. That's probably why we were able to stay there so long. The rent was probably very, very cheap. By the time I had turned 15, I had failed the 9th grade twice. I was heading into my 3rd year of 9th grade. We still hadn't lived anywhere for 2 years straight, and we were still consistently struggling to find a place to live. When I turned 16, I kind of made this decision that this was not the life I wanted to live. That no matter what, I was going to be successful. That moving all the time and just this constant struggle was not the life that I wanted to live. And like I said, I made a decision that that wasn't going to be me. So at 16, I got my GED and I started college. Things are looking good. The week I turned 17, I found out I was pregnant. Many people might have given up at this point and just went to work instead. Nope. No matter what, I took my pregnant ass to class. And I struggled. I lived in inefficiency with that little baby when I was 18. I had no car, didn't have a driver's license. I was working part-time. Still trying to get that college degree. And at 19, I was pregnant again. I still didn't get that first degree. And again, my mantra was no matter what, I was going to be successful. My children were not going to incur the same disappointments, the same worries and concerns that I did as a child. And a lot of people may think that my mom was a failure or that she was a bad mom, but she wasn't. She loved us. When she wasn't at work, she was with us. And she was doing the best that she could with the resources that she had. And I learned a lot from those experiences. Like, I learned that if you don't pay your rent, you get evicted. So I've never been late on a rent payment. I also learned that having your basic needs met is a success. All these things that most people take for granted. I mean, it was my version of success. I mean, the first time I lived somewhere for 2 years straight, wow, that was the most successful I had been at that point. I also learned that without an education or a system, then you will struggle. Because if you don't have that, all you have is labor. And it takes a lot of labor to provide. I'm so grateful for things that, like I said, most people take for granted. I learned that time with your children is paramount. And then no matter how many times you fall off track, you just get up and keep going. Throughout my childhood, the amount of times that we had to find somewhere to live, or that my mom had to find a new job, or we were barely holding on, she didn't give up. She just kept going. I mean, you would think that she would have just gave up and dropped us all off at a firehouse or something. I don't even think that was a thing at that time, but she didn't give up. She just kept going. So I knew that I wanted to create a company where someone could be both a parent and a professional, where they didn't have to choose between their career and their children. And so I did just that. I made a company where my employees can leave whenever their children need them. They don't need to ask for permission or put in a request. They just go. They do what's needed for their family first. And despite my childhood, which everyone may perceive as a weakness, but for me it's my greatest strengths because of all those valuable lessons I've learned. I also learned how to take failures and turn them into moments of education, to just move on, pick up and move on. No matter what, I was going to make it happen. And today, I have 6 children. I have 2 college degrees. Both I graduated with high honors. My company has been in a brick and mortar location for just over 4 years, and it's worth almost $500,000. And a lot of that is thanks to BNI and the connections and things that I've made there. And I'm more than successful. I'm blessed. And I hope that every employee that I ever have feels that same way.